Good evening, good day, good morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. Hello. Today is gonna be short again. I mean, gonna have to excuse me for my short streams. I'm I'm one hell of a tired man, but still managed today. And good news, I have it on good authority that Cred is gonna be here for the Friday show. He promised. So if he doesn't do it and he doesn't show up, I mean, you guys just need to make a lot of angry posts on Twitter giving him shit for it. But that's where we're at. He promised he would. Mogging Powell again, it's tradition. Yeah, I mean, Powell just takes my time slot. He should be moving it. He should be knowing that I'm streaming at this time. I don't think it matters much. Like, people are giving a lot of weight to what's happening there. It's all short-term noise unless something drastic changes, which it usually doesn't. But yeah, before we start the show, big shout out to Woo for sponsoring it. Really appreciate their support. Their links are in the description. And yeah, we'll go over Bitcoin. We'll go over like maybe one or two altcoins, and then I'll call it a night and get some well-deserved sleep. So yeah, let's start with Bitcoin, and then we can do some questions, some whatever. High time frame, the monthly actually did close at resistance as kind of expected, but it's kind of shitty resistance. And the fact that we haven't rejected yet is a good sign. It's still technically a close at resistance, but trend is aggressively up. So I think that cancels each other out. You have to be neutral here. The trend is aggressively bullish, so technically you would have to be bullish. We closed at resistance. That's technically bearish, but like I said, like I think both of those kind of cancel each other out, so you can make an argument for both. But the monthly isn't really that bad to me. Like, a lot of people are freaking out about the high time frames, but like, look at this. Like, this is not bearish, right? Like, you see a chart like this and you're bearish on it because of the price action. Is kind of funny, right? It's just people are bearish on it because it's such a high time frame that they don't really understand that the high time frames just work a little bit. They work a little bit different than the lower time frames, but also still the same ish, right? People just extrapolate whatever they see on the low time frames to the high time frames, and that's not necessarily the best course of action. But yeah, it did close at resistance, so that one's neutral, I would say. The weekly time frame, that was a pretty good close generally, and where we are trading right now is actually quite nice. We talked about this zone last week. It's still technically there. It's still the resistance that we're kind of fighting right now. So if we lose it on the weekly this week, that obviously take a little bit. It would take a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the bulls, but just generally, I like the range better down here. And as long as we're kind of holding 90K, all looks good in the world to me, TA wise at least. But you can add this and be cautious until we close above it. Totally justified. To me, at least, doesn't really seem like a bad addition to the chart. Generally, this is a bullish chart. The trend here is also obviously aggressively up. We haven't really made any lower highs or anything of the sort. Just when you zoom out a little bit, like, look, we have a low here. You have just higher price action here. Same here. Like, the pullback is basically going sideways. You have a little bit of a pullback here, but still didn't get anywhere close to this area. Just generally strong. And then same thing here, where we pulled back but didn't get close to this area. So like, this is just generally a bullish time frame. And then if you go check the recent price action, if you zoom in a little bit more, it's technically a range reclaim. Like you have a range here. We lost it, we reclaimed it. Like that's good stuff. So yeah, all in all, like that's at least leaning bullish, but I think like TA wise, it's not only leaning bullish, it's just very bullish. We are still in a macro situation that is very, very dicey, to say it nicely. So you never really know. We could get upsets, surprises, but from the TA side of things, it's just a bullish chart. So we have the monthly neutral-ish. We have the weekly, which is bullish, and then you go to the daily time frame, and that one's actually also bullish, but also kind of like a little bit choppy, right? So like this one's choppy. We have the range here as well, the old range. We broke that to the downside, had a little bit of Trump action going on here, but in the end we reclaimed the range, and now we're kind of like right back to business as usual, right? Nothing's happened basically, and that, like, if you ignore the craziness that happened here, basically the chart is like, looks like this. Like you have an up move and then you have sideways, like up, sideways, ignore this. And that's not bad. I wouldn't say that's bearish. So that's, to me, also clearly leaning bullish. So you have 3 time frames, right? That I personally care about, and the weekly and the daily are bullish. The monthly is like neutral-ish. So it makes the most sense to kind of look for long setups. Just generally, it doesn't really make much sense to look for short setups, at least not on the chart. If anything, if you want to be bearish, and I think there is a world in which you can be, you would want to do that based on news, based on macro, and that is totally justified and justifiable. I just think the TA doesn't really, like, there's nothing really bearish on the TA front. That can change with news. Then I'll talk about it, but right now it just looks quite decent. Where's Cred? Cred has been gone, but he's coming back. He's coming back on Friday, he promised. Don, I just had my second kiddo, May 4th. Happy to hear it, man. Congrats. Thanks for doing this, even with yours. Yeah. I mean, my wife's taking care of the little one. I put the less little one to bed earlier, and she's sleeping just fine. So I have an eye on her. If she starts crying, which she doesn't really, she's been sleeping very easy. But if she starts crying, I'm gonna have to run. So if I suddenly, like, if you hear screaming into the microphone, that's the baby monitor screaming at me. But for now, all looks good. Usually she doesn't. So I have it a little bit easier. I agree with everything so far, but I also think the indexes will go back down. I don't know how to line that. Yeah, that's what I'm like. This is why I think it's very difficult right now. I also kind of think, like, just generally, like, all of this tariff stuff is just very stupid, and it's gonna get really bad. I think, like, it kind of feels like COVID. You guys remember when we talked about COVID before it hit, and I was like, this just kind of feels like it's gonna be really fucking bad, and then the markets really didn't care. And all of a sudden, everything melted down. I kind of feel like it might be the same with the tariffs. But also, COVID, you couldn't really roll back. Tariffs, you can. So the moment the market starts melting down, you would see a lot of kind of folding going on from the current US government. Like, they'd just be like, okay, we fucked up. Basically, they wouldn't admit that they fucked up, but they would roll back a bunch. So you have this, like, it's a little bit of a weird situation where if the market goes down, the market gets more bullish because you have kind of like the quote unquote risk of the tariffs being rolled back goes up, which is a really fucking dumb situation to be in. Basically, Market goes down, tariffs go away. Market goes up, tariffs probably stay, which both kind of makes it so that the market just goes volatile one direction to the other, but at the end of the day probably chops. It's a weird one, and I don't want to be the guy that analyzes macro stuff without having much expertise in it. So I'm just looking at the charts in this show. I give my opinion from time to time, but I'm not going to give you any high level insights, just my kind of like take on it. Don, what do you think about moves that are futures driven? I mean, they're like futures moves, like when there's too much on the future side of things, usually doesn't end that well, at least in my experience. But I don't really care too much, unless it's like for short term stuff. But I don't really trade short term. Like I think that like, oh, this move is futures driven, like that's a daily thing, that's not a monthly thing, you know, like. And I don't really care too much about the small moves anymore. I have retired from trading the small stuff quite a while ago. Hi Doug, don't you think it's more useful to look at Bitcoin Euro? The graph is a little different. The dollar has already lost a little value. I mean, yeah, fair enough, but it still seems like a meme. I think the dollar is still, all in all, like more important than the euro. But if this stuff continues, maybe in a year we start talking Bitcoin Euro because it's just a dominant pair. But I doubt it. Gaines is also streaming. You should do a shoulder to shoulder stream. I mean, there must be a hairy shoulder joke in there, but I'm too tired to get it on the fly. First time on stream, congrats on your newborn. The only technical advice I hear from. Thank you. Thank you. Thoughts on altcoin weakness with all eyes on Bitcoin? Yeah, right now, it's just the market is uncertain. And like people in the chat have mentioned, like, oh, they think that the indices are going to go down and all that kind of stuff. Uncertainty doesn't really do so well in the altcoin market generally. And then on top of that, you have just bigger coins like Trump and like a bunch of stuff just sucking out liquidity. Every time the market perks up a little bit, you have like these liquidity sucks that just kind of ruin it. Might take a little bit. Need the market, like need Bitcoin to run a little bit, and then we can see some good price action altcoins again. But right now, it's a little bit tough, yeah. But yeah, Bitcoin all in all looked quite decent. ETH, same story as last week. I wanted to reclaim 2K. It's quite close, but it's like the first like consolidation that's actually holding up ever since 4K, right? Like we had, like this price action was fine up here. It was weak because it was underperforming Bitcoin, but this was fine. It started kind of breaking down here at 2.93K. And you can see that just kind of in the vertical, and any bounce was immediately sold into. Like there's two green candles here immediately down, one green candle immediately down. Now you had two indecision candles here, and then actually a green candle up for the first time in a while, and now two indecision candles here again, which at least is a little bit different from the just pure on non-stop dumping, but I still want to see a sign of strength. We get a move like this, I'm more than happy to be bullish again. Above 2K, it starts looking quite good. But before then, I don't want to. There's a German saying that basically translates to lean outside the window too far. Like when you like, I mean, self-explanatory, and I don't want to do that right now. With a setup like this. Same with ETH BTC, that just kind of looks atrocious, just been bleed down. We did have, like, I would call this capitulation here. Like that's accelerated selling, which is good. It's what we wanted to see for years. Like when I called the ETH trade, the midwood trade, in here and in here. And then it dumped, and I was like, I want to see acceleration. It has done that, but like I've always said, stuff can capitulate much further than you would think. like there could be a minus 30% candle down here, and the chart wouldn't look too different, and then the next week could be up 50%, and this chart would still be the same, right? So the risk that you take buying capitulation is that you're buying it too early, and then you're actually gonna capitulate into the final leg of the capitulation. You have XRP. It's also actually like one of the ones that is struggling. I mean, every altcoin is struggling now. XRP is not an outlier right now. It's at support, but I would have liked to see a little bit more strength here. Still is decent, like that's a decent chart to me, but it's not the strongest. XRP BTC, that's where the weakness comes from, which is always not good to see. You would like to see XRP BTC or like generally the Bitcoin pairs to look strong. Same problem with ETH, like that's just generally been dumping. You can see XRP BTC completely doing something out of the ordinary. Same with Sol BTC, just been dumping nonstop. Same with any Bitcoin chart, right? They've just been completely killed. A Doge retraced the entire bullish move of 2024. You can go down the list, doesn't really matter. Any Bitcoin chart you look at, you're gonna see destruction. Atom been down since 2022, down only basically. Uni, same story, completely going to zero right now. Like doesn't really matter what you look at. And that is gonna continue until we get less uncertainty in the market, or unless ETH starts running. I think ETH is gonna be the saving grace for everything. Before ETH runs, you're not gonna see much else in the altcoin space run. If someone just starts from scratch, would you like and would like to invest, would you recommend just DCAing Bitcoin? Yeah, probably. If you want to be involved, that's a good way to start. So, yeah, that's that. The thing is, on the USD pairs, you see a bunch of setups. I showed you the XRP one, still holding the range. Same with Sol, reclaimed the range. ETH isn't quite there yet, but you have like a bunch of setups on the USD pairs because Bitcoin's just been strong, and that has kind of driven a little bit of buying pressure into the altcoins on the USD front. Here, Popcat up a bunch, even today. A bunch of them basically holding supports, but nothing crazy yet. Same with Litecoin here on the monthly, managed to hold support, bounced a little. So we have like a few good USD pair charts. It's just basically all on Bitcoin at the moment, and they're all underperforming Bitcoin. So basically, like Bitcoin goes up 5%, these altcoin charts go up 2%. Like that's not what you want to see as an ETH holder, XRP holder, Solana holder. It doesn't really matter whatever you hold. As an altcoin holder, that's not the strength you're looking for. You are looking like generally, and it's something that I've always said, you want to see or like find altcoins with constructive Bitcoin pairs. If your altcoin does well against USD but does shit against Bitcoin, you not only take on more risk, because any altcoin is much more risky than Bitcoin, but you're also not getting anything from it. It's a double shitty trade. So always gotta look for periods where you think these are gonna outperform. Right now, there's very little reason for them to, but I think there could be soon. Just needs a little bit more certainty. So if the whole tariff situation kind of calms down, I think you could get some nice action on the altcoins. If it doesn't, I mean, more of the same, bros. I think Bitcoin is kind of like gold's been on a historic run, and Bitcoin's kind of like caught a little bit of a bid. There's also a lot of sailor buying, but just generally, it's where I think the next narrative might be. Like you had gold run a lot, Bitcoin can catch a little bit of a bid. Don, you used to have an edge in some of your trades. Is it still possible to find an edge in today's trading? Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Um, you just need to be sharper than the rest. And I mean, I personally had to, when I was like actively trading the lower time frames, I personally had to trade against morons. Like back then, no one knew what the fuck they were doing, so it was quite easy for me to take advantage of. Now you're trading against like 150 IQ people that got really rich over time, because they're smart, because they're good at what they're doing. So your competition is much harder to beat, but there's still edges to be found, yeah. And on the high time frames, the edges never really went away, at least in my opinion. Like I don't really see much of a difference on the monthly and the weekly chart, and those are the ones that always were my bread and butter, where I made the best trades. You think we get an old season this year, or is Bitcoin dominance going to 100%? I don't know if it's going to be this year. I generally think, I think altcoins are going to zero. We kind of have we have Bitcoin, we have stable coins. That's more than plenty. But I think just generally the gambling or the altcoins not necessarily ready to die yet. So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of the lay of the land. Stuff is bleeding against Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is kind of struggling because I mean we have the S&P just kind of in a sorry state. It's been up only for years, and it kind of feels like the best case scenario for the S&P is sideways, and the worst case is a crash. And I think that has a lot of impact on the most impact on the altcoin market, because people are just it's just not risk on right now. So why would I be trading altcoins? And then you have the whole Bitcoin gold thing that can aid Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin has been doing okay-ish. And you have sailor buying too, which helps. But yeah, I mean, basically you look at all these charts and kind of feels like risk. People don't want to have too much risk right now, and they just want to wait and see what the S&P does and what Trump does. And I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I really want to see how this continues. I think the whole the fallout of the tariffs is going to come in quite soon. In the next 2-3 weeks, you're going to see massive changes in America, just generally. I've kind of looked into all the fucking. When you're a crypto trader, you have to kind of look into a bunch of stuff that doesn't that you would have never thought otherwise. But I looked into shipping, I looked into all that stuff, and it kind of seems very likely that you're gonna see the fallout quite soon on all of it, and then it's gonna take a while to reverse, right? So it's kind of lagging thing. You make tariffs, and then you have lag until the tariffs hit, and then they hit, and even if you immediately cancel the tariffs, you're gonna have lag until you can get going again. So best case scenario, we're very close to this, where it stops and starts off again, but you're still gonna have that lag period. Worst case scenario, we're somewhere in here and we're not even close, and then we're probably gonna see, to me at least, you're probably gonna see more downside. Best case scenario, this goes sideways. Worst case scenario, we just fuck off, and this is it's a lower high, complacency shoulder. People are it crashed already, we're good, and then it just complacency shoulders and does a new low. I don't know. I'm not an expert in macro stuff, and I also don't really know how Trump is going to operate. It's hard to say. But that's kind of the headwind that we have right now. And then people are like, why the fuck am I trading altcoins if that's the case? And it makes sense to me that people are kind of taking it easy. It's summer anyway. Enjoy the weather. And then the moment you see the current admin in the US change course, you can start changing course too. Will hot air rise again with Fartcoin? I like Fartcoin in like for a meme coin. I don't think it's like, I think it's gonna go to zero eventually, but I like Fartcoin for meme coin. It's one of the funnier ones, at least. Could Bitcoin go up in a macro down S&P? I mean, that's the big question. Basically, can we be gold? The answer is probably no. But there is always an outlier chance. I think it's more likely that Bitcoin is treated as a risk asset than it is gold. But we've always kind of managed to make narrative stick. We make up a narrative and we make it stick. So maybe, if we're lucky. Don, we're going to run up Bitcoin dominance until the Bitcoin cycle is complete over like 2017-18. Max pain for everyone holding altcoins in spare. I know quite a few people selling the altcoins for safe Bitcoin recently. Yeah, I mean, and I've seen a lot of capitulating on the altcoins, but that can get much worse before it gets better. I remember, like, I've been around a long time now, and I still remember people capitulating on altcoins in 2017 when Bitcoin was running, and then altcoins on a relative basis, they didn't really go down too much against USD, but on a relative basis, they got absolutely clobbered, and people capitulated, and people were making fun of them, being like, aha, this is the bottom, and then they went down 50% on a relative basis afterwards anyway. And then they went up. And the old season is never guaranteed. I don't ever understand why people are like, oh yeah, it's just 100% gonna play out again like it did in 17. Like, we all know, like everyone in this market, or like 90% at least, know that we're trading Ponzi's when we're not trading Bitcoin. Like, it's straight up, like just stuff that is worthless. So you're never guaranteed that stuff goes up. You're just hoping for it. And you're looking at, okay, like if this catches a bit again, I can make good money on it. So the risk is justified, and that's fair enough, right? But I think it's very dangerous to assume that you're always going to have that. Because at the end of the day, one day, Ponzi's go to zero. So like you have the chart, right, of any altcoin. You have a chart. And it gets launched, and sometimes it goes up, sometimes it immediately goes down. There's zero. But the end result of any altcoin that isn't Bitcoin, in my opinion, is always going to be that the chart ends up back here, right? So no matter if it does this and then goes down, no matter if it goes down here and then bleeds down, the end result for the altcoins is zero, right? What it does in between is hard to say, right? And that is why, like, you have to have like it's not so easy to trade these, because like you can technically altcoins like if you could properly short every altcoin, like people that just focus on shorting altcoins, I think they would be better off. At the end of the day, like if they have if you have infinite liquidity, right? Like the market can go up infinite. You're always gonna print on any shorts, right? Like ignoring funding and everything, obviously, because the end result is zero, because you're trading something that is just worth nothing. Problem is, these things are highly volatile, and when they go, right? And then you have a 5 or 10x, you're sitting in a position, you're shorting it, and rightfully so, because it's a piece of trash. And then it 10x's, and you get squeezed out, you lose all your money, and then it goes to zero, right? Like, that's the thing with the altcoins. But at the end of the day, I think people don't really understand these facts. Like, deep down, they always think the next alt season is just around the corner. And it could be, but it's not guaranteed. So no one should be acting like it's guaranteed. I think Luna was actually a good coin. I mean, no. Just look at how it ended. Do NFTs have a chance at the cycle again? Yeah. I mean, everything has a chance at the cycle again. NFTs were a good meme. Could see that flare up a little bit again. Probably not as hot as it used to be. But like in like 10 years, you have like video games, and the world is kind of ready for making items and all this kind of stuff into NFTs. And instead of trading skins on Steam, like on CSGO skins on Steam, you trade them on the blockchain. I mean, I think that would be a massive upgrade. But until then, you never know. You were saying ETH might actually run the last. What changed your mind? It can still do so. But I think the moment the ETH catches a bid, especially when everything is down, you're gonna see a bid on everything. Right now, basically people are losing faith in altcoins, and the best way to turn that around would be a ETH bump. If you get like altcoins turning around without an ETH pump, then you're probably still gonna see at the end of the day, like the last coin that's gonna pump is ETH. So it depends. Like it would be a good moral boost and kind of suck liquidity back into the altcoins if ETH ran, but it doesn't have to happen. Hi Duck, went long on your Bitcoin 75k call, still waiting for 105k to close it. Chad, love to hear it. I mean, at this point, that trade has new invalidation. I think you're never gonna lose money on that. I think anything below 84k is pretty certain gonna be bad, and I think generally like a close below 90k would be quite bad, but like full retrace of this leg, I think always bad. So worst case scenario, you capture the 9k move, which is Giga Chad. That's nice, congrats, happy for you. And best case scenario, you get all of this, so on top of it. Wishing you the best, my friend. Wishing you the best. Don, care to make an estimate for Bitcoin cycle top target? Maybe like 150k. I think we're still pretty close, but I could be wrong. Like, let's say Bitcoin runs here, right? I think we're kind of in this situation here. So basically you made a high here, you went down. I think the next high is gonna be somewhere here, if it's bullish, and then we're gonna go back down. Having cred on before GTA 6 will be wild. Actually true. But yeah, I don't know. But I never know. Like these predictions don't really count for anything. That's kind of just my headspace. I'll change my mind depending on the TA. We lose 90k again, I'll be like, it's bearish. And then maybe we're in for 70. And then you're going to be like, hey, Don, you said 150k and now we're going to 70. What changed? And I'm going to be like, the TA changed. The structure of this market changed. So yeah. What about Hyperliquid? Doing great recently. Yeah, I still think like if you like it, you should like it, and if you don't, you don't. TA wise, there's not too much to say. Like that's pretty decent chart. Reclaimed the entire range, also up like 130%. Like that's not a bad chart. If it starts losing 20, like 19.5, that's bad news, but otherwise decent chart. At least it has some history now, so you can chart it. I think losing this would be first warning sign. Losing this would be bad, just generally very bad. But yeah, I think that's enough for today, and I need to hit the bed. But I really appreciate you guys coming by. Much love for that. Appreciate the nice comments and everything as well. And like I said, on Friday, I have the promise of the man himself. We're gonna have a Friday show. So look forward to that. If it doesn't happen, I mean, like I said, just insult Cred on Twitter, see what happens. But yeah, anyway, big shout out to Woo for sponsoring the show. Like I said at the beginning, their links are in the description. Big shout out to you guys for hanging out. Appreciate that as well. And we'll hear from each other quite soon. Bye bye.